Hey guys, welcome to yet another Fanfic Friday video, where we take several locations, scenarios, and characters from popular media, throw all their names in a bag, and then we draw them out at random and have to put together a story from those elements within the space of 30 minutes. If you've ever been to an Iron Fanfic contest at a convention, you know the drill, and it's pretty much the same thing, but we like to do it every week and just because we like to exercise our creativity. If you can call writing fanfiction creative. I do, personally. I think it takes a lot of creativity to make a character from X series want to make out with a character from Y series, because sometimes they don't make out at all. So there are other elements, so, it takes a master storyteller to link those together. But yeah, we hope you enjoy this one. It only is me and Marianne again, because Caitlin's out of town. But either way, we got a couple of stories for you, and I think you'll like them. So check it out.
The following fanfics are based on existing properties. We do not own the rights to the characters or the locations associated with them. These stories are intended to be non-profit and are written for fun only. Each author was randomly assigned 2 characters, a location, and a scenario. Each contestant was given 30 minutes to finish their story. What follows is the shocking results.
For my fanfiction this week, I drew the characters of Widowmaker from the popular upcoming release multiplayer game Overwatch, and I also got the character of Sonic the Hedgehog. So, I mean, they're both blue, so they have that in common. There's already a link there. My mind is already working. And the location was the beach, and the scenario was not wanting to eat leftovers. But yeah, that's the story elements, and I hope you like the finished result, which I called Baywatch, with Bay spelled B-A-E, because Widowmaker is Bay. The sniper sights honed in on Diva as she flew through the air and connected with an object, launching it skywards with a simple gymnastic maneuver. The volleyball skimmed the net and flew toward the tomboyish figure of Tracer, who used a couple of those time-skipping abilities she had in her back pocket to rebound the shot at her opponent. Diva's balance wavered momentarily, and an easy deflection became impossible as she fell face-first into the sand, her bare feet stabbing at the air defensively as she ate the ground.
"All right, governor,"
Tracer declared in celebration.
"I'll spit shine your shoes for a tuppence, all right? Rather smashing what, Toodle Pip?"
"What did she say?"
asked a super smooth, awesome voice straight out of the 1990s from somewhere near Widowmaker's crouched position on the ocean front.
"I believe she said that was 1 point to her."
The ice-cold sniper smoked through the corner of her full lips, French accent tickling her joyless words into sensual flirtation.
"Either that or she wants to shine someone's shoes for real."
"No way!"
bleated Sonic the Hedgehog from his beach towel, reclining with a plate full of chili dogs beside him, protected by a series of strategically placed paper plates and napkins.
"No sand was getting in this hog's dogs, kid."
Widowmaker could almost hear him say.
"Nobody shines Sonic the Hedgehog's shoes. They already have enough shine from all the going fast I do." "Going fast?"
"That would be called running," Widowmaker hissed, jaw clenched as she did her best to put the blue hedgehog's totally radical lingo out of her cold, calculating mind. She followed Diva's movements with her crosshair, cradling the rifle against the curve of her body.
"And shining shoes has nothing to do with your ability to accelerate."
Sonic wagged his finger in a jerky, almost low frame rate style.
"Last time I let someone touch my shoes, Robotnik nabbed them and did a bunch of experiments on them. Mechanized them. Turned my shoes into deadly robots."
"An army of shoebots," Widowmaker purred, enjoying the word deadly a little too much.
"What will they think of next?"
Sonic stretched. He had been at it all day. Morning, ate a bunch of chili dogs. Afternoon, surfed and did awesome loop-the-loops around a bunch of the randomly occurring Mobius strips that were scattered about the beachfront while also eating chili dogs. Now, early evening was about to catch up to him. Not that anything could ever catch up to Sonic the Hedgehog, that's ridiculous. And he was starting to wonder if he wasn't more than a little beat.
"It pains me to say this, man,"
Sonic crooned as he put on a pair of shades that totally made him look really cool and good.
"but I don't know if I can finish these chili dogs."
"You're kidding," Widowmaker scoffed, momentarily allowing herself to be distracted from her prey.
"Sonic the Hedgehog? Not eat chili dogs? That makes no sense, my fellow blue person." "You're telling me,"
Sonic gasped, holding aloft the plate of chili dogs. At least 8 left. A typical starter dish for Sonic.
"What am I supposed to do with these if I can't eat them? I've never been faced with such a dilemma."
Widowmaker side-eyed the upset hedgehog and sighed despondently. She didn't like helping people out. In fact, in 9 situations out of 10, her mind reprogramming demanded the exact opposite of that. Every assignment Talon had ever dished out to her, she'd been asked to murder this person, or assassinate this person, or spend time listening to Reaper's emo poetry. None of those roles were particularly pleasant. Perhaps it was time to combine business with pleasure. "Pass that plate here," Widowmaker insisted, her beautiful eyes returning to the scope of her rifle. Sonic reluctantly offered her the leftover dogs, and expert Deadeye that she was able to load the rifle with the topmost chili dog. "1 shot, 1 kill."
No way!
Sonic announced, and then he added a "dude," because he's radical and such. Within 10 seconds, Widowmaker had fired every last chili dog into the mouths of her targets. Tracer fell onto her tush and spluttered Cockney British nonsense as the dog connected with her gullet. Diva fell back into the mess she'd created during her initial fall as the chili dog made a beeline for the back of her throat. Farah fell to her deadly chili dog precision aiming. Mai's face was red with chili by the time she was done firing, and so on, until there were no more leftover chili dogs to pine over.
Nice one, bud!
Sonic slapped Widowmaker's plentiful backside in a supportive fashion. The resulting animation caused several eagle-eyed viewers to make gifs of this and post them on the internet.
You know I have a thing for human chicks. I once totally made out with one. It was generally considered to be a really bad decision.
"A lot of people make that mistake," Widowmaker remarked with a faraway look in her eyes, cool emptiness following the burning heat of the shots. "Not just you. They all do."
What mistake is that?
Sonic asked as Widowmaker made her dramatic exit, firing her grappling hook toward a nearby sailboat and zipping away from Sonic, possibly forever.
Hey, wait!
Widowmaker allowed the tide to take her, and as she observed the faint blue dot that was Sonic watching her from the beach, she spoke into her hands. "The mistake of believing I am human."
Hi again, everyone. It's Marianne, and this week I had the great misfortune of drawing O from Home. Thanks, Martin. I also drew Goofy, suggested by X Langinger, and the location was the White House, and the scenario was fighting Godzilla. So here we go. It was hot. Sweat dripping down from the strange bulb at the top of his head and into his eyes. Taking one of his ears into his hand, Goofy dabbed silently at his face before replacing his palm on his rifle, which had been held at the ready for hours. He was a sniper on his final tour of duty before retiring from the military, waiting for the ultimate catch. Osama bin Laden stepped out from one of the compound buildings, and Goofy narrowed his eyes. "There you are, you son of a bitch," he muttered under his breath, and pulled the trigger. Then boom! The frantic voice of his Secretary of State broke through Goofy's thoughts, bringing him back to the White House. The dog brought his eyes to meet those of his shapeless purple friend. "We are currently in possession of a lot of trouble, Mr. President." Oh. The ground had been rumbling almost constantly in D.C. since the appearance of something so outlandish that even an animal president with a cartoon cabinet couldn't believe. Godzilla. Each footstep rattled the walls, and in turn the alien O, who was prattling on about what had been done to the city. But Goofy was beyond being shaken, having had a long and decorated career in the Navy. It was how he was elected with an overwhelming majority. "Just take a deep breath, O," Goofy said, placing a large gloved hand on the desk in front of him. "Where is the creature located now?" "Our most recent reports have him at the Lincoln Logs Memorial," O said frantically, showing his ignorance of American history. The voters weren't thrilled by this decision to appoint a foreign Secretary of State, but the way he handled the Gorg situation was enough to convince Goofy that he was a good choice. "And what exactly are our options here, O?" Goofy said, rising to his feet to glance out the window. Flames tickled the horizon. The door to the Oval Office opened, allowing a few more members of his staff inside. "Bullets have proven to be ineffective," O said, panic causing his voice to crack. "I could perhaps retrofit some of our vehicles with something stronger, but the time it would take for me to do that might result in our spending thousands of lives, if I may." Secretary of Defense Ash Ketchum stepped forward, his sharp suit a stark contrast to the familiar ball cap hiding his 20-year case of hat hair. "If my experience as a Pokemon master—" "We all know you were never a master, Ketchum," Goofy chided. "You kept giving away your Pokemon. Don't fucking lie to make yourself sound better." Ash cleared his throat, continuing. If my experience as a Pokemon trainer speaks for anything here, I think we're dealing with a fossil-type Pokemon, most likely water-based since he spent so much time in the ocean. You were saying you may know of a spot where he is weak? O asked hopefully, and Ash nodded. I think if we get Pikachu out there, we may just stand a chance. Goofy's face clouded at the suggestion. Are we sure that's wise? He's a non-combatant. Hasn't been in the field for years. Can he handle something like this? Let me out there, Goof! Pete chimed in, already dressed in military fatigues. The dog's neighbor was one that Goofy butted heads with often, but like the old saying went, keep your friends close and your annoying neighbors closer. Don't call Pikachu out of retirement. I think I've got something that can handle him. Goofy crossed to his frenemy, placing a hand on a thick shoulder. Bringing black eyes to meet black, a moment of silence passed between them as Goofy nodded slowly. Pete had hammer space that could compete with no one else on Earth. If anyone stood a chance, it was Pete. And if Pete died, well, at least Goofy wouldn't have to put up with him anymore. Godspeed, Pete, Goofy said, and Pete gave a quick salute before heading out the door. Godspeed. Starring Dr. Phil as Goofy, I guess. I don't know what that voice was, but thank you. Hope you enjoyed.
As always, thanks for watching Fanfiction Friday, and do please leave suggestions in the comments below as to what characters you'd like to see, what locations and scenarios, and do remember that all three of those things, my dog is currently pushing the tripod, all three of those things have to be completely separate from each other. They can be related, but do understand that if you do choose things that are related, chances are they won't be picked for the same story. You need to suggest characters, locations, and scenarios. And we'll see you next week with more Fanfiction Friday. Thanks for tuning in.